There are conversations we don't want to have, conversations that make us uncomfortable, conversations that feel awkward, painful, or even cruel. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Avoiding difficult conversations doesn't protect relationships. It destroys them. It can destroy marriages, businesses, families, friendships. And sometimes the consequences are permanent. And I know that because avoiding difficult conversations has cost me more than once. Welcome back to Crumbcake and Chaos. I'm Carrie Shelley, mom of 4 and 2 angel babies, wife, world record holder, business owner of Enchanted Cakes and Treats, and side hustle queen, and currently chaos manager, and probably meanie head. And if you're new here, this podcast is where we talk about real stuff, business, life, family, and all the chaos that comes with trying to build something meaningful. And bear with me if you hear baby B in the background. So thank you for being here and being part of the chaos. We need to talk about hard decisions, hard conversations. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. The more complicated things get. And believe me, despite what some people might think, I absolutely hate conflict, and I hate being the bad guy. Now, will I hesitate to be honest and give you a little tough love? No, of course not. But making life-altering decisions, sometimes I wait until it's hurting me too much before I put my big girl panties on. And I'm telling you from personal experience, bite the bullet, have the conversation. Difficult conversations don't just happen in families. They happen in business too. As a business owner, one of the hardest things you will ever have to do is tell someone this isn't working anymore. This past week, I had to let an employee go. And that is absolutely the worst part of owning a business, at least for me. I knew she needed to go. I knew it was affecting me, my other employees, my customers. I knew it needed to happen, and I continued to hesitate and continued to hide from it. I started making excuses on why I could come in later and a little later and a little later day after day, so I didn't have to have the conflict. I started to make excuses for why I didn't need to have the conversation. And then I started to make excuses for this person, giving every reason why I shouldn't be having this conversation and trying to save her job, despite the fact that it was costing me money and business and sanity. You know they need the job. You know they have bills. You know they have a life outside of work. But then the reality, they have become a liability. Avoiding that conversation doesn't help them or you. It hurts your business and it hurts the rest of your team. When leaders avoid hard conversations, good employees pay the price. There's resentment, a morale drop, business suffers. So the day finally came, and it was only supposed to be a written warning. Printed it out, I got it ready, and on my way, I get yet another bad review about this person. And the person who left it was so upset at a simple phone call, saying that had this person been her first interaction, she wouldn't have ordered. And this is not the first person that has told me the same thing. This isn't the first time somebody's wanted to cancel or back out of an order because of this girl that was here. And I just knew in my heart of hearts, I couldn't hide any longer. And then about 30 minutes after I let her go and she left, another person called giving me another complaint about the employee, telling me that she walked out and didn't order anything and she wasn't coming back. And I knew that I did the right thing, despite the fact that 10 minutes before I did it, I cried my eyes out. Because I knew it needed to happen doesn't mean it hurt any less. And this happens in life, not just business. Conversation with spouses or siblings, feelings that you bury, or family that cost you money. One of the hardest lessons I've ever learned came from family. I'm currently in a legal battle with family because I allowed them to walk all over me. I didn't want to have difficult conversations. I didn't want to be the bad guy. I didn't want to make things uncomfortable. I didn't want to damage the relationship. And that decision cost me my house. That's right. My house. I am the first person to jump in and help and jump in and give. And when this family member had absolutely nowhere to go and I had the opportunity to help, I didn't hesitate. My husband, different story. He warned me over and over that this was going to bite me in the butt. Told me that they were going to use me. He was not happy with my decision to say, no, it'll be different. They would never do that. I've been there when they needed a job. I was there to donate when they lost their house to a fire. I was there to spend hundreds on an iPad and all the accessories after the fire because I felt terrible that a little girl was affected. We were moving and we were going to sell our old house and they needed a place to live. And it just seemed perfect. Like it all lined up perfectly. And I told them that as long as they could pay the mortgage and the utilities, that they could stay. I didn't need to make a dime. Knowing that I could help, that was enough for me. Before I know it, I'm forking out money for things that are breaking and leaking that have never been an issue in 17 years that we lived in that house. But okay. Despite that's costing us money, we fix it. We move on. It's still my house. The money they're paying isn't covering anything that they're breaking because they're only paying the mortgage payment, but they're still paying the mortgage payment. Time goes on, and now they're thousands of dollars behind in the water bill, which is in my name. 3 months behind in rent. And at every turn, I hesitated to say anything. I finally say something. We talk about the fact that the mortgage is behind. And of course it's behind. You haven't been paying the rent. Unfortunately, I'm not rich enough to make 2 mortgage payments. I wish I was. So I get a payment and I think everything's okay. We're now 8 months behind. And guess what? The house gets foreclosed on. And I still hesitated to have the difficult conversations. Then it becomes a court battle. I even hesitated on that. B didn't like it either. I served the eviction papers. I was supposed to wait like 10 or 15 days. I waited 2 months because a grandfather died and I felt horrible. Like I felt like I was the worst person in the world for asking for money in the middle of all of that. But the house was in foreclosure. I waited and hoped for them to do the right thing so I didn't have to be the bad guy. So we go to court. That part is over. And now comes a bigger part because there's even more fees and there's more fines and there's still thousands due for a water bill. There's thousands due for a foreclosure difference. Those things don't just go away. I didn't want to have the conflict, but now I have these bills that are their bills and I'm not paying them. That's not my responsibility. That's their responsibility. And I have to sue them for all of this money. And I feel horrible. I even considered saving my home so that they wouldn't end up homeless yet again and let it cost me all the extra legal fees that they add on at the end of the mortgage for the foreclosure process. I was on the phone with the mortgage company and the mortgage company's lawyer and the mortgage company's realtor, and I'm listening to myself try to defend them while they're hurting me, while they stood in front of a judge and badmouthed me. And I thought, what in the absolute fuck is wrong with me? Why am I continuing to let these people take the heart on my sleeve and stomp all over it? Why do we continue to let things happen that we know are hurting us? Is that an extreme circumstance? Yeah, it is. But it does happen. Avoiding the conversation didn't protect the relationship. It protected the problem. What you tolerate will eventually cost you. Not having conversations with your employees, that happens all the time. Not having conversations with a spouse that's physically or mentally, emotionally hurting you, that happens all the time. Not having conversations with the parent or the sibling that's taking from you, whether it's mentally or physically or monetarily, that happens all the time. Not having conversations with the toxic person in your life, it happens all the time. And we need to stop letting it happen. And sometimes those difficult conversations look like waiting to have a conversation with a dying parent and not knowing how to do it, and then regret not saying the things you want to say and ask the things you want to ask. Sometimes those difficult conversations look like making plans for difficult times. My husband doesn't like to talk about death and talk about planning death. It's a difficult conversation. And I want to have that conversation now and know what he wants and what his intentions are, or what I want, so that when he dies, I don't have to wonder what he wanted, and vice versa. My mom and I have a lot of those conversations, and it makes me really thankful because I know what she wants. When my father was dying, and I knew it was coming, I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to ask the questions. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to say the things you say when you know someone might not be here much longer. I told myself there would be more time. There would be another day, another conversation. But there wasn't. Avoiding that conversation didn't make the situation easier. It just meant I never got the chance to have it. The conversations we avoid today become the regrets that we carry tomorrow. I was terrified to talk to my dad about death and how he felt about it. Did he have any regrets? Were there things he wished he would have done differently? What did he want? I didn't want to face the fact that he was dying. And thankfully, my older sister took care of asking a lot of the hard questions, the death questions. But there were still personal things I would have loved to have asked. I just wasn't able to have those conversations at that point. And clearly, I still struggle with certain ones. But I will say, I am much better than I used to be. Sometimes, I just got to remember to pull my big girl panties up. Some of the most painful regrets in life aren't about the things we said. They're about the things we didn't say and do when we had the chance. I have conversations with my kids all the time about uncomfortable things. Sex, drugs, money, death, and a lot more. There are so many parents who don't want to have conversations with their kids about sex because it's uncomfortable. I've been talking about that with my boys since middle school. Safe sex, condoms, the whole 9 yards, so that they wouldn't make me a grandma when they were 15. And I knew they weren't having sex at that time because they were still really young. But I didn't ever want them to feel uncomfortable, especially since I was their mom, and I'm sure that was uncomfortable. I'm sure it still is. They're 21 and 19, and I still talk to them about different things. My daughter, the same way. I have some really uncomfortable conversations with her. But I know that she will come to me no matter what if she needs me, because I initiated those uncomfortable conversations to start. Stop hesitating to have hard truth conversations. Talk about death. Talk about sex. Talk to them about their addictions. Talk to them about money. Talk to them about the abuse. Talk to them when they hurt you. Talk to them when you need their help. Talk to them when they need to get up off their butt and get a job. Talk to them when you need to discipline them, to fire them. When it is necessary, evict them. When it's necessary, sue them. And when it's necessary, you gotta put your well-being, and if you have children, your children's well-being above your feelings. Difficult conversations are uncomfortable. They make your stomach turn. They make your heart race. They make you feel like a villain. But avoiding them doesn't make you kind. It makes you passive. Clear communication may feel harsh in the moment, but silence is what destroys trust. Problems are easiest to solve when they're small. And I will say too, when it comes to certain things, people don't know what they don't know. While yes, the addict knows that they're doing something wrong, and yeah, the person costing you your home knows they're doing something wrong, but if you don't tell somebody that they're hurting you emotionally, that they're not giving you the love or attention that you need, that them doing certain things upset you, they don't know that. Some people don't realize how they treat you, or the things they say, or the things they do. And if there's no clear communication, you are never going to know. They are never going to know. Closed mouths do not get fed. Nothing changes if you let things stay the same. The change starts with you. And if you're still hesitating, let me know. I'll be the asshole friend that gives them the little nudge for you. Until next time, guys, thank you for sticking with me this far. Thank you for listening. And remember, when life gets crummy, or the conversations get crummy, there's always something sweet to look forward to. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need me. Have a great night, guys.